How you doing, Joanne?
Hey, good, good.
Well, we'll give it just a couple more minutes, then we'll get started here. You guys okay? No. So did you beat it or?
I just got to the part of it.
Okay.
There's multiple.
That's taking. Weird.
Me too. Oh.
Yeah. Okay, I've got 3 after, so I'm going to go ahead and get started, I believe. There'll be probably some others joining in here in just a little bit. First of all, I want to thank you for coming to my class, Chemistry of Essential Oils. My name is Mitch Peterson. I am a father of 5, a grandfather of 13, so that keeps me very, very busy. We are a part of Anointing Nations, which we are very blessed to be a part of. Our upline is fantastic in the sense that I know that they are working to help us to achieve whatever it is that we're wanting to achieve in Young Living. But most importantly, I know that they pray for us and that they are willing to help us as much as we're willing to allow them to help. And I know with many discussions with Frank and Rhonda, they've been such a blessing to us, and I'm just thrilled to be a part of their team, myself and my wife Sheila. Having said all that, we'll go ahead and get started with Chemistry 101. I don't know if any of you have been to a Chemistry 101 class or have heard like Max Hopkins teach Chemistry 101 at the CARE classes, which is just phenomenal. This will definitely not be on the level of Max Hopkins or any of that stuff. This is going to be kind of a Chemistry 101 light. I am definitely not an expert in this. I am still learning a lot of the chemistry part of it. But I just thought it'd be fun to put this out so that people can have somewhat of a understanding how essential oils work in our bodies. We have our references and all that, but it's really interesting to know on a cellular level how all this works. So having said all that, we'll go ahead and get started. First of all, if I can get my thing to work here. Okay, how are essential oils scientifically validated? What criteria, body out there, whatever, is there that's validating essential oils, and a lot of the studies. Well, we can go to some websites that are out there. A lot of peer review studies. Also, there is an organization called ARES, which is working very hard, which is Young Living is a part of, to set a standard in essential oils, because as a lot of us know, many don't know, there is not a standard for the oils that are out there, whether you get them from Walmart or whether you get them from Young Living. The purity and all that varies so wildly that it's almost unbelievable. So having said all that, the chemistry of essential oils, or chemistry itself, deals with a lot of the structures or properties, substances, the changes that things go through, such as well, when you stop to think about it, when you cook, when you bake, you bake a cake, there's chemical processes that are going on there that are really kind of mind-boggling. Like today, the wife and me tried for the first time to make some homemade soap. When we added the lye to the water, the chemical process that happens there caused a lot of heat when we added the lye to the water, so much so that the little plastic spoon that we were using melted it. So that's all part of chemistry that happens on a molecular level. Also, it's the molecules in the essential oils, whatever it is that we're dealing with, are held electrically, and we'll get into a lot of the electromagnetic and vibrations and all this other stuff that goes on with essential oils and so forth. They're electrically neutral. They're held by two or more atoms. A lot of times it's hydrogen and oxygen. We know, we think of water, hydrogen, and oxygen, H2O, and you have your salt, which are sodium, and your chlorine atoms. So in getting into talking about essential oils, some of the basics are, what are essential oils? Well, essential oils are the volatile substances of the plants. They are the very essence of the plants. They contain the natural characteristics, the smells, the aromas. What is really neat is that with pure essential oils, one drop of essential oil has hundreds and hundreds of chemical compounds that are in those oils. And we'll get into some of that here in just a little bit later. There are 4 grades of essential oils. You have, at the very beginning, you have your synthetic oils, and a lot of those obviously they're created in the laboratory, but these oils are used, they're made very cheaply. They're used in your aromatics like candles and so forth like that. Your Walmart candles and so forth. You have fragrance grade essential oils. There's no medicinal value to them whatsoever. Once again, these are usually used in maybe your higher end candles or some of your perfumes or something like that. The third level is organic oils. The thing with the organic oils is that although they say organic, a lot of the pesticides, the herbicides, the bad stuff is still in on the molecular level with the essential oils. Also, that the oils are not distilled at a rate where they have all their beneficial compounds. And then you have your therapeutic grade essential oils, which are the Young Living standards, which are grown very specifically. They are grown or distilled very precisely, never varying, using only the the most optimal methods of extracting the oils. Okay, essential oils consist of molecules. Well, that's kind of a no-brainer. Everything has molecules. Hydrogen, carbon, hydrocarbons. They contain oxygen, nitrogen, and sulfur. But the things that essential oils don't contain are proteins, vitamins, which is surprising to me, vitamins, hormones, and enzymes. Let's talk about proteins and enzymes first. And the proteins are, through the distillation process, the proteins are the properties that people are, a lot of times, the allergens are. They say, oh, well, I'm allergic to this flower or whatever, or let's say lavender. Well, you can't be allergic to lavender, Young Living lavender, because through the distillation process, the size of the proteins, which are the allergens, are not extracted out. And saying that, size matters. When oils are distilled through steam distillation, each of the molecules, the molecular weight of the essential oils are no greater than 500, and they say AMUs, which is atomic mass units. So anything bigger than 500 atomic mass units through the distillation process is too heavy to be extracted and ends up in the essential oils. So, having said that, a lot of the allergens, a lot of the proteins and enzymes, because they're not in there, are a greater than a 500 AMUs. Most of them are anywhere between 10 and 45,000 AMUs. So they're too heavy to end up in the steam distilled oils. And if any happen to make it that far during the distillation process, the proteins and the enzymes are destroyed through the heating method of the extraction, steam distilled extraction. Having said that, for somebody to say, oh, I'm allergic to lavender, well, they can't be. The proteins are too heavy to come out. Having said that, if they are sensitive to citrus or something like that, because citrus oils are cold pressed, they take the rind and they press the rind and literally squeeze out the oils, you could have some of those proteins that are in there. You would also end up with some of the vitamin properties that are in it. The vitamins are generally larger than a 500 on the atomic mass units. You have just a few vitamins that are lighter than that, but to say that there is value in essential oils for vitamin reasons would be a false statement, because there's not really that property to essential oils. Okay, so as we had discussed here, that the molecules that are removed from the plants, as you can see on this graphic right here, when they're steam distilled, which is the primary way that Young Living does most of their oils, the larger molecules, proteins, are extracted. Young Living incorporates 4 different ways of coming up with their oils. Of course, the number one and the largest way is their steam distillation, and we'll talk about that here in just a moment. The cold press, which I alluded to with the citrus, where they're taking the rind of let's say, orange, and literally squeezing the rind and gathering the oils that way. It's called cold pressing. They do resin tapping, which is what they extract neroli, frankincense, and copaiba, I believe, is the other one. Let me see if I have that here. I don't know if I do or not. Frankincense, myrrh, and copaiba. Sorry about that. Frankincense, myrrh, and copaiba is all resin tapping, where they go in and they literally scrape the tree, and the resin from the tree seeps out. They gather it, and then they steam distill it that way. And then the other way is what they call the absolute oil extraction. That's where they use a solvent to pull out the oils, and that's only in 2 of the Young Living oils. That's in jasmine and neroli. Those are the 2 oils that they do not recommend that you ingest, for the sole fact that the plant material is so delicate that they use a solvent to pull those out. And through the steam extraction, the solvent is removed, but still, just for safety's sake, you know, there's that little precaution of not to ingest those 2 oils. Excuse me here. Okay, thank you. Steam distillation. When they distill plant matter through the steam distillation method, they want to do it at the lowest pressure possible, at the lowest heat possible. The reason being is that if you turn up the pressure too high, then you fracture the membranes of the molecular structure, and you're losing a lot of the effects of the oils. So if you turn the heat up too high or turn the pressure up too high, then you end up with a very low quality oil, and about its only use is going to be good for is burning in candles and so forth. So with low pressure and low heat, you get the maximum benefit of the oils. And something Young Living does is that they only use the first distillation for their oils. In other words, what I mean by that is that when they fill a vat with lavender, let's say, and they go through and do their steam distillation, they take that plant material and they put it out for mulch or whatever. They don't sit there and turn the heat up a little more, turn the pressure up a little more, trying to get more and more and more oil out of that, for 2 reasons. One, we just talked about, you're going to fracture the membranes and you're going to lose a lot of its therapeutic value. But also, the best value, therapeutic value in the oils comes from the first distillation only. So Young Living, wanting to keep their standards high, only use the first distillation, mostly steam by steam. This is a kind of little graphic, as you can see, going from my left to right. Is you have your water tank there. It goes into the steam boiler, is turned up to a specific temperature, runs through the bottom of the cooker that's filled. If you look at the top portion there, that's filled with the plant matter, the steam goes through the plant matter and goes through the stainless steel pipes and cools and is gathered in a collector. And we'll see some pictures of the collectors and so forth like that here in just a minute. It's really pretty interesting. I don't know. I know we went out to Utah last year at the convention, got to go to Mona, where the lavender fields and so forth are there, and seeing the distillers, and they're just so awesome to see that process being played out right in front of us. And that's something that Young Living welcomes. They want you to come out and see the whole process from the very beginning, the seed all the way through to the time that they bottle. That's what they call the seed to seal, and they're more than happy for you to come out and do that whole process, because quality is all they're concerned about as far as their essential oils. This happens to be my wife in Mona last year in the lavender fields. That obviously is a lavender plant in front of her that she's smelling. So having looked at this, how much lavender does it take to make oil? Well, let's look at this graphic here, and you can see that 250 pounds of lavender makes 1 pound of oil, which is, I mean, 200, and I can't get my mind around it, 250 pounds equals 1 pound of oil. And what you see over here on my left is one of the stainless steel cookers that is patented by Young Living, stainless steel being the best metal to use. That way that through the process, the chemicals and the metals aren't contaminating the oils. And that's how picky Young Living is. And then you can come here, and this is what they call the small cookers. Actually, they're the hydro distiller cookers. And we can look and see some more facts here. 2,000 pounds of cypress equals 1 pound of essential oil. 2,000 pounds of cypress. So the trouble that Young Living goes through to distill this, the amount of material that it takes to make such a small matter at the very highest quality, just shows that the love that Gary has for all of mankind, wanting the very best oils possible. The next one there is Melissa. 6,000 pounds of Melissa for 1 pound of essential oils, that's staggering to me. And then when you look at the rose petals, 5,000 rose petals is 1 5 ml bottle. That's one of the little bottles of essential oils, which I don't know if you've ever smelled rose. It is phenomenal, and it's an unbelievable fragrance. It's not what you would expect. And if you ever do get the chance to smell it, make sure that when you do, don't hold it right under your nose. Hold it down here on your chest and wait a minute. Let the aroma of the rose rise up out of the bottle, and it's heaven. It's heaven in a bottle. It's really, really cool. The picture that we're seeing here is Manstrate. This is down in the farm in Ecuador. As you can see over here is a collector, the yellow substance being the Manstrate. I think that's how they pronounce it. I could be wrong. Very small amounts of oil comes from very large quantities of plant material. And this is just, once again, the collector with Manstrate. You can see it bubbling up through the water, and it's separating. And what they'll do is they'll go in and they'll siphon off the oil, and then the water's used in for other things, in their hot tubs, for one that I hear, which Ecuador is someplace that I really, really, really want to go and see the Melissa and Lang Lang and something else that's, I forget what all they grow down there. There's a number of things, but Lang Lang especially. I use Lang Lang every day. Okay, so let's talk about cypress for a second. And you say, what's all this got to do with chemistry? Well, it just goes to show you that the gift that God has given us through essential oils, the time, the process that you have to go through to extract these out of the plant matter, and then to get it right for the full value, it's very, very intriguing. Looking at cypress here, the specs, and this is where it goes to show you how much time Gary Young has taken in researching his oils. So we're looking at cypress here, and so if you distill cypress for 24 hours at a specific pound, at a specific temperature, you have 280 active constituents and properties, excuse me, in that oil. 280. Vary from that time, that temperature, and the pressure. Let's take it down to 22 hours. You have lost, let's see, you have lost, if you shorten that time, you've lost 18 to 20 of those primary therapeutic constituents. In other words, you don't have the full effect. You don't have the full property of that oil just by cutting it down 2 hours. If you go over, if you go 26 hours, you've ruined the whole batch. It's all it is smell in a bottle. There's no therapeutic properties whatsoever to it. You can see that it has taken Gary Young a lot of time to figure out, for all these oils that are being steam distilled, the precise amount of time, the precise temperature, and the precise pressure to distill these. As the graphic shows here, that a lot of the cypress that's distilled out there on the markets are done for an hour or so, hour to hour and a half. So if you're only getting an hour to hour and a half distillation out of it, then it's, once again, it's smell in a bottle. That's all it is. So it's very important to know where your oils are coming from. Okay, now we're going to get into some of the little geeky parts of this, which I think is kind of cool, kind of mind-boggling, but kind of cool. In our bodies, there are 100 trillion cells, which staggers my mind. And each of those cells has 6 gigabytes of memory. If anybody knows that the flash drives and stuff, all the information that you put on a flash drive, each cell in our body has 6 gigabytes of information in it, which equals all the information our body needs. The whole blueprint of our body is in each one of our cells, which is just, I mean, that's just a miracle from God in and of itself. That when you stop to think, you know, a cell, how microscopic it is, to be able to hold that much information is just blows me away. I can't wrap my mind around it whatsoever. Now, having said all this, our bodies communicate in several different ways: electrical, chemical, and what they call intracellular. And by doing so, you have to look at our cells, and I'll have a graphic here in just a minute, that our cells has little antennas on them, and you have things that come through and communicate with the cells and so forth. And so this is where the issues, when we are wanting to have optimal wellness in our lives, we've got to maintain the wellness of each of our cells. So in doing so, there are certain constituents or certain properties of oils that are beneficial to enhancing our wellness. And the first thing that we're going to look at is phenylpropanoids. And what these do is they go through, and like I said, on our cells, we have these like little antennas. And sometimes, because of all the junk in our lives, whether it's a lot of fast food eating or just a lot of chemicals in our lives or whatever, these little antennas will get coated, they'll get caked, they'll get clogged. So to help with our wellness, oils that are high in phenylpropanoids are very beneficial in cleaning those little antennas and so forth, that helping our cells communicate and do the things that they're supposed to do. And here's the little graphic. I thought it was another slide, but it's right further, but it's right here. You can see the little yellow there is what they call the receptors, and you have your things come through, and they'll land on these receptors, and if it communicates right, that communication goes all the way down into the cell, down into the very DNA in our body. So it's very important that, you know, the receptors are clean on our cells, and God has given us a way to do that. Okay, so why is this important? Because sometimes, because of all the chemicals that we've ingested throughout our lives or inhaled or whatever, it has altered our DNA. Our cells are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So the first key we have to have is we have to have the clean receptors. We have to have something that's going to go in and communicate with our DNA. So once we've cleaned that and we've identified that, okay, well, these cells, well, your body will say, okay, cell, this DNA is all messed up, so something's got to fix it. Well, modern science tells us that it can't be fixed. God tells us that it can be, and he's given us ways to do this, and he's done this through things in nature that are high in what they call sequiterpenes. And what these do is it delivers, not only do they go in and they can erase and deprogram all the bad DNA, they deliver oxygen to the cells, and which is a very important piece of all of the health and wellness of our cells. So sequiterpenes will go in and they'll connect on these receptor sites, and they'll communicate down there and say, okay, this is bad programming, so let's correct this. So it'll go in and it'll erase or deprogram all the bad code in the cellular memory. Yeah, sorry, bugs are getting in here. But anyways, so now we've cleaned off our receptors. We've deleted bad or miswritten information in our cellular memory. Is that it? Well, no, God in all his wisdom provides a way to go in through the use of monoterpenes and reprograms the information at the cellular level. And so it is just astonishing how God, at the very beginning of time, has given us these things for us to live the optimal health. And it's just, well, he wants us to be at a level where we do not have to worry about all the negative stuff in our lives. God's given us a way to take that negativity and turn it to the positive through a positive lifestyle and through a positive health and wellness. And so you have your phenylpropanoids, which goes in and cleans the receptor sites. You have your sequiterpenes, which goes in and deletes the bad information. And then you have your monoterpenes, which goes in and reprograms those cells. God is awesome. That's all I can say. He is just so awesome in the stuff that he's given us. Okay, so how do we remember this? Well, the best way to remember it is the acronym PMS. Well, if you remember that, you just have to tweak it a little bit, and actually it's PSM. And what this is different constituents in certain ways are going to give you the most benefit of the oils for optimal health and wellness. Some of the oils may only have a couple. They may only have one of these compounds, but there's 3 different classes. And so for me, I try to find a good balance of what's going to help in all 3. And we will get into that. Right here. Sorry about that. So what we're looking at is, when you're looking at an optimal PSM blend, you're looking for an oil that is 50% phenols, 10% monoterpenes, and then 2 to 3% querterpenes. And this combination isn't the magic bullet. It isn't the thing that's going to turn our bad days into great days. And we'll talk about this here in just a few minutes as we get a little closer towards the end. But through the regular use, through continual use, and I've noticed this in my life, that as I use the oils, as I drink my Ningxia Red and so forth and so on, it's not a one drop and it's all puppy dogs and rainbows in my life. Through sustained use, that is where I've noticed that I've benefited the most in a more optimal, healthy lifestyle. Yes, it's in combination with healthy eating and all this other, but it's something that you have to do on a continual basis. Okay, so we had talked about the size, the atomic mass unit, the 500 AMUs, being the largest weight that's in, on a molecular level, that's in essential oils. Here's the reason why this is significant. In order to breach the blood-brain barrier, the molecules of the oils has to be less than a 500 AMUs, atomic mass units. Your synthetics, your pharmaceuticals and so forth like that are a lot larger than that, and they can't cross that blood-brain barrier. So that's what makes essential oils a lot different. They can breach that barrier, and we're going to get into the limbic system, just going to touch on it here in a minute and how essential that is. But things that are smaller than the 500 AMUs, when you put it on topically, they're going to penetrate very quickly. You're going to get the maximum benefit through inhalation, and then if you ingest it, you're going to get the maximum absorption when you have things that are 500 AMUs or less. Like I said, when you're looking at synthetics, because of the proteins and everything that they're using, these things are 10,000 AMUs. 45,000 AMUs. Your body just cannot process it the way it can essential oils. So you're going to get the maximum desired effect. Okay, so when you inhale an essential oil, it through the nose, it passes the blood-brain barrier and affects your limbic system. Why is that? Why is that significant? Because your limbic system is so key to a lot of the systems in your body. You can see you got your pituitary gland, your thalamus, your the frontal lobe, not the frontal lobe, I'm sorry, your hypothalamus and stuff. What do these do? If you look at the hypothalamus, it controls the automatic body processes. The hippocampus involves your memory storage. So to be able to go in and inhale essential oils and have these directly affect these areas can be very, very beneficial. Now, what other things does the limbic system? It is mostly emotional. It's your emotional area, but if you've been involved in or done any study, your emotions affects your body health in a tremendously large way. The limbic system, it affects your behavior, sex, your motivation, your long-term memory. As you see here, the automated body processes, and then your survival behavior, your fight or flight processes. So your emotional life is housed in this area. So to be able to affect it directly, I mean, you can't take a pill and put it in your brain. So God has given us something even better. He's given us a way to be able to reach this system directly, and that's through inhalation. Okay, so talking about the oils and stuff, and we've talked about how pressure and temperature makes a real difference in the oils. Well, there's other things that affects the oil as well, and this is why, these different things that we're going to talk about here real quick makes a huge difference in the quality and the number of the beneficial compounds in the oils. If you take a plant, and I know they've tried this with Melissa, and plant it over here in this country, let's say they plant it in the United States. The beneficial properties of Melissa planted here may be less than the beneficial properties that they get from a plant that's grown in its native area. So the geographic locations makes a huge difference. And Gary Young goes to very painstaking lengths to try and research the very best areas to grow, to have his different farms and grow these things, because the location makes a difference. You're talking about soil condition, you're talking about weather condition, rain, even when they harvest, harvesting at a certain time during the day makes a difference versus harvesting later in the day, let's say. So Gary Young has gone through, and he's researched all this. He's planted and he's grown and he's harvested over and over and over again, and studied the compounds in the oils to find out what it is that's going to make it the very best, and then that's what he sticks with. So when it comes to chemotypes, as they call it here, area makes a difference, rain makes a difference, soil conditions, and even the time of day. That's why when they up there in Northern Lights, the newer farm that's up there in Canada, when they harvest the trees up there, it's done in the winter, because that's the most optimal time to get the very best oils out of those the plant matter up there. Not the greatest time for us to go up there and harvest, because that's dead winter up there and it gets 30 below. But Gary Young's willing to go that extra mile to do that. So chemotypes, the oils are very environmentally dependent. Even the species of plant, you've got 3 different species of frankincense. Let's say you got Boswellia, and you got Sacra, and I forget what the other one is, but all 3 of them, although they're all frankincense, each one of them has different constituents, different properties that makes them beneficial to our overall health and well-being. So once again, and I know I've kind of harped on this a little bit, but once again, this is how much Gary Young wants us to have the highest quality oils in the world. That's why when you go to Walmart and you use their lavender there, you don't get the same benefits out of it as you would a Young Living product or some of the other oil companies out there, because they're worried about, hurry up, let's get more product out there. Let's keep it cheap for everybody, because I know price is an issue. But if you're having to use 3, 4, 5 times the oils, then really, you know, factoring in how much more you got to use makes Young Living very, very economical. We're going to talk about frequency a little bit here, and we don't have very much longer. We are just about at the end of this, but frequencies are measured in hertz. Okay, you've got, you know, when you think of frequencies, everybody thinks of radios, and yes, radios run on a cycle, megahertz. Think of frequency as vibration. If you take a rubber band and you pluck it, you have frequency right there. You have vibration. It's electromagnetic frequency is what they're really calling it. So not only do things have frequency, all living things have frequency. And we'll see here in the chart in just a second, not all things do have frequency, which makes it very important, because our body runs at a frequency of generally between 62 and 68 megahertz. That is the optimal frequency for health and wellness. Adding in factors like you know, environment and everything else like that, your body starts dropping in frequency, and then certain things start happening. So the essential oils also have a frequency, which is very beneficial to us. We're going to see that here in just a second. Let's see here. Frequency is vibrating energy at 100 times more efficient at relaying information than physical signals. In other words, our body, the oils communicate better with our body through the use of electromagnetic vibration or frequency. So you have an oil that's higher in frequency, it's going to better communicate with our body and achieve the desired effects. So if your frequency is low, it's going to be outside of the normal range, and we seek to raise that. Let's see here. As I said, every living thing has a frequency in nature. A healthy person has a frequency of around 62 to 68 megahertz. If you hit around 25-ish on the megahertz, you're, well, for lack of a better way, you got one foot in the grave. The dying process begins. Of course, you hit 0, and then that's death right there. So one of the most important things to remember is the benefits of frequency in essential oils. And we will see that here in just a second. We've really touched on this. You know, things move, they vibrate at a certain frequency at the molecular level. So our molecules are actually vibrating. So when you have, let's say you have oregano, the reason why you put oregano on your skin and it gets a little warm is because oregano has a higher frequency, and it's actually the vibration of the molecules that you're feeling, which is really pretty interesting. I didn't know that until I took Max's class. Just very fascinating. Okay, so here's a graphic that helps us picture frequency. If you look at the 62 to 68, that's normal frequency for a healthy body. As you can see, as you start lowering the frequency of the body, certain things start setting in. You can see the headaches set in and flu at 57. So as the frequency in our bodies decrease, we see adverse reactions. So you can increase your frequency of your bodies. And the most easiest way is just through meditation and positive thought. You can raise the frequency just with positive thought by 10 megahertz. Meditation, 15 megahertz, and so forth and so on. So it's very important to research frequencies of things that you're using in your life. And here's a great graphic right here. You can see everybody wants herbs and herbal medicines and so forth like that. And it's relatively inexpensive to be able to use these things. The only trouble is the benefits of dried herbs, even fresh herbs, is minimal compared to essential oils, because essential oils is the very essence of the plant compounded or concentrated in a very compact form, whereas fresh herbs, if you think about it, if it takes, what I say, 250 pounds of lavender to make 1 pound of lavender oil, how much plant matter would you have to ingest to get the benefit? So you see what I'm saying? So fresh herbs, although they're good for you in a nutritional sense, there's probably a lot of vitamins and so forth in them. Frequency-wise, they're very minimal. Dried herbs is even less than fresh herbs at 12 to 22. Fresh produce, although there's a lot of very important vitamins and nutrients in fresh fruit, as far as frequency is concerned, very low on the frequency scale. So the benefits frequency-wise to the body is very minimal. Then if you look at processed foods, zero. There's no benefit whatsoever. Yep, I know Coke tastes really good. I love Bush's baked beans and stuff like that, but it's all processed. There's no benefit whatsoever to your bodies other than it tastes good, which is good, causes good feelings sometimes. So, you know, you'd raise it by maybe 10% just through good thoughts and stuff, but processed foods for itself, nah, nothing there. However, looking at essential oils, look at the frequencies there. You got Melrose at 42 hertz, and it goes all the way up to Idaho Blue Spruce at 500 hertz. And if you smell Idaho Blue Spruce, which I love, yeah, you get lots of good feelings out of that. And boy, I feel good just smelling the stuff. So a lot of benefit there. Getting into the frequency-wise, like I said, this is the geeky side of essential oils. A lot of, oh wow, my brain's going to explode, all these little facts and molecules and sequiterpenes and monoterpenes and all this stuff. But it's just really interesting to know how God works on the molecular level with our bodies. And he, of course, God only wants the very best for us. And God, I believe, is really touching Gary Young, and through the use of Young Living Oils, through Gary Young's love and passion for the oils and for people, he's only wanting the very best. I know I've said that several times, but it's true. It's just a fact. I'm very passionate about his Young Living. And I will be. I always will be. Now, here's getting into the metaphysical side for just a moment, and we're not going to really talk too much about this, and I'm just about done with my presentation. But getting into quantum physics, when I thought about quantum physics, I thought, oh, wow, we're really getting into the molecular whatever mumbo-jumbo stuff. But quantum physics is different. It's almost touching on the spiritual aspect of human nature. Quantum physics or chemistry says, what does this oil do? So we can look at the molecules and quaterpenes and monoterpenes and everything, and through chemistry we can answer those questions. Quantum physics says, what do you want these oils to do? So okay, Mitch, what do you mean by all this? What I'm meaning is that when you take an oil, what is your intent with that oil? What do you want that oil to do? Sometimes you wonder why this oil doesn't work for me when it works for this person, or why this works for me and it doesn't for that person. I believe this is where quantum physics comes in, where your intent with that oil has a whole lot to do with the outcome of the use of that oil. Ningxia Red. What is your intent with Ningxia Red? What is your attitude? Like God says, when we come to Him in prayer, we come to Him with a grateful heart, an attitude, being in a prayerful mood. Our intent in prayer makes a difference to God. What is our heart? And I believe God has built that into His oils. And that's where the quantum physics comes in. What do you want these oils to do? You talk to Rhonda, and the first thing she'll tell you to do with those oils is when you're putting oils on, pray. Pray as you're applying the oils. Pray as you're inhaling the oil. Pray as you're ingesting the oils. It's your intent. I believe can tell those oils what to do. That's the quantum physics side. That's the metaphysical, that's the spiritual side of essential oils. Take it for what it's worth, but I wholeheartedly believe that if I apply oils with a very bad attitude, I'm going to have a very bad outcome. Is it going to hurt me? No, it's not going to hurt me, but I'm not going to achieve what I wanted to do. Okay, so according to Mr. Bruce, well, let's see. Yep. According to Mr. Bruce Lipton, we are spiritual beings inhabiting a physical shell. So once again, we're coming back to the intent. A belief in healing. If you approach essential oils with the belief that these are going to achieve what it is you want them to achieve, I believe it's going to happen. I really do. It's that way with prayer. Am I a name it and claim it type person? No, I'm not. I don't say, oil healed this, whatever, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not what I'm talking about. It's, once again, it's coming back to your intent. You have that belief. You have that faith. As we have faith in Christ, who saved us from a spiritual death, I believe the same thing with the essential oils. And then look at the uses. Look at the oils that are used in the Bible. God doesn't put things in the Bible for no reason whatsoever. He's inserted information about oils for a reason. And so I think He's communicating to us in another way about the benefits of essential oils. And then knowledge. Do your research on oils, whether it's Young Living or whomever. Get reference material. I mean, read about essential oils and everything. If you can see my bookshelf over here, I've got all kinds of books over here. And all day long, every day, I know my wife is in these books. I'm in the books. I'm looking up information, wanting to know this, that, and the other. Wisdom is the application of knowledge. So you have to get the knowledge, then start praying and asking God for the wisdom to use these. And He'll let you know. He will. I 100% believe that. So what are essentials oils? That's a bottle of possibilities, as Dr. Dave Stewart says. The oil that I can reach over here off my little shelf, this happens to be a bottle of orange, is a bottle of possibilities. What is my intent when I use this bottle of orange? What essentials are not? I've touched on this at the end or before. Essential oils are not a magic bullet. One drop isn't it. One sniff isn't it. It's your intent. It's using them consistently to achieve the optimal health and wellness in your life. So if there's things that we're addressing, and I see this so many times where people have said, well, I did this with this and nothing happened. Well, it's not a magic bullet. So that's about as far as I can take that comment, and still, I don't know, be maybe semi-FDA compliant. I hope it is some. I try to be as much as possible. But just, keep that in your mind. Communicate to that people in their circles that get discouraged. It's not a magic bullet. So that's the end of my presentation. I definitely appreciate your time. I ask that when you apply oils, you pray as you're applying them, however it is that you apply them. If you are not a Young Living member, I encourage you to contact the person that directed you to my little webinar and ask all the questions you want of them. If you're wanting to sign up, become a Young Living member, they can help you with all that. So please contact those that have been talking to you about essential oils. I know they're eager to talk to you about them. Get reference materials, study, learn. I've got a long way to go. I definitely am not an expert. Chemistry 101, this is the first time I've taught this class. So if you have feedback, feel free to email me at twosistersessentialoils@gmail.com. You can go to Two Sisters Essential Oils Facebook page. You can private message us there. I'll be glad to try and answer any questions. I welcome feedback. Anything I've said, maybe not FDA compliant. I strive to be FDA compliant. So if something I said isn't, let me know. And I thank you for your time. Once again, my name is Mitch Peterson. We do webinars every Sunday at 8 p.m. Different topics each time. Thank you for your time, and I hope you all have a great evening.